Same old, not again, ladies and gentlemen. Another painful loss for Manchester United, as now Manchester United has lost more Premier League away games than they have won under Eric Ten Hag. Won 16, drawn 6, lost 17. But what could we have done different in this most recent loss against Brighton? Listen, it was not one of those performances that was so ashaming. Honestly, I don't think we put on an ashaming performance, but there are things that happened in this game that remind you of the terrible United we were last season, the wrong decisions, and I've said this time and again that Eric Ten Hag needs a refresher course when it comes to decision making and substitutions. Look, first of all, we played decent. I think compared to the past seasons, we tried to create some chances, played some good football in a few moments. I thought for certain periods of the game, we played a lot in our half, passing the ball around, but in our half to no effect. But not so bad. It was not entirely like we were under Louis van Gaal. But my thing for me is Eric Ten Hag has got to certain times make football simple. Don't complicate the game too much. Look, why in the world wasn't Joshua Zirkzee starting? Yes, the squad he started in the previous game was understandable. In the first game, Zirkzee perhaps didn't have full minutes in his feet. He came off the bench, scored an important goal. The next game, we clearly saw in that first game that the one thing we needed to work on is have a finisher, have a natural striker start games. Eric Ten Hag should have clearly seen that, and that should have been the first change he makes in the team. Zirkzee had no business starting on the bench because we even saw how we changed our game. He took way too long to bring on Alejandro Garnacho. He had no business starting Marcus Rashford. I've said it time and again. The right decision he made was starting Ahmad because Ahmad, with what happened with him, the ordeal he had, that was always going to be motivation. I'm not surprised that Ahmad scored the goal he scored. And he did not have his best game, like many players didn't. But for Eric Ten Hag to choose, first of all, to keep on Rashford for all those minutes, or to even start him ahead of Garnacho, choose again not to start with Joshua Zirkzee, you're having Bruno play as a false nine, you're wasting your most creative player. And then later on in the game, he pulls off Bruno. Now, Bruno did not have the best of games, but he was even smiling. Bruno didn't believe he was pulled off. Bruno is your organizer on the pitch. He's your coach on the pitch. In moments when you're trying to chase a game like that, you don't pull off Bruno. Yes, you can bring on Scott because he's known for scoring goals off the bench, but not for Bruno. You don't pull off Bruno Fernandes, so you're in a game where you've lost your most driven player. You're chasing a game that you want to win, but you're pulling out your most driven player. You're organized on the pitch. So what then is bound to happen? Exactly what happened. Brighton were pressing us in the last minutes that their life depended on it. They were so confident. We let them into the game. We are all panicking, losing our men. Look at that cross from Adingra, and Pedro is not marked by anyone because we were under pressure and disorganized. Harry Maguire, I said it here before the game. Whereas Harry Maguire had a good game in the last game, Elite should have been starting. Harry Maguire, well, he was not 100% fit. How do you tell me a half fit Harry Maguire is better than your new signing, Mathis Delete, unless you don't trust or you're not sure of your new signing? Harry Maguire shouldn't have started the game. We saw him, he had shut out, he dropped in concentration when for the first goal. And you're thinking, why is Eric Ten Hag always trying to complicate football? Keep it simple, Eric. Keep the game simple. Make the right decisions. The obvious decisions at times are the best decisions. You don't have to be so smart and so creative and, pulling off Bruno, then again starting with a false nine when you have a natural striker you paid money for. What I mean, if he was good enough to start the second half, if Joshua Zirkzee was good enough to start the second half, he certainly was good enough to start to play the first 45 minutes. Simple logic. Come early in the game, kill it off, then you can start managing because, of course, you think players are not 100% fit to play for 90 minutes. So for me, whereas we played decent, guys, let's think of the positives that were there because, again, this is the United we are trying to compare with the United of last season. There is something we're building in terms of play, in terms of performance. There are improvements that we can credit. But the reality is Eric Ten Hag will go back in his bed, think about this loss, and it should pain him because of certain wrong decisions he made. I've said it time and again, Eric Ten Hag's decision making is a big issue. His changes at times, he needs a refresher course when it comes to managing a game. His game management at times can be questioned. Of course, certain times he has called shots and they have worked, but there are certain shots that have got to be obvious. He has failed on them. He has failed on them. So for me, this is a big issue. This is the issue for me that I saw in this game. Well, Kobe Maino, I thought played his game, played well, looking confident, growing in confidence in the game. Casemiro looked tired at some point. You clearly saw why we need Manuel Ugarte to ease the pressure on Casemiro. He was almost going into bad fouls. You can see clearly that really age is never, age is, they say, is just a number, but in football, it is not just a number. Casemiro, for real, he had a good game against Fulham. This time around, you saw a tired Casemiro. Garnacho should be starting. There is no reason for Marcus Rashford to be starting games ahead of Alejandro Garnacho. Rashford's body language, his lack of smart decisions, his lack of desire and hunger is clear. It's glaring. You would see it. So for me, I'll blame this loss completely on Eric Ten Hag. I'll blame it on him because of his wrong decisions, certain wrong substitutions made, wrong stats, wrong squad selection. And my worry is if he has more depth, and now there are people by the way who are now complaining, saying how is Jadon Sancho not in that squad? Well, I will not go into the Sancho talk because, I mean, if a player is indisciplined, he should not be stepping anywhere on the pitch. For Sancho, it's a whole different case, and I don't think he could have changed a lot on this game. But my worry is when Eric Ten Hag has all his players fit, if he's struggling to make decisions on players, what will happen when all his players are fit and available? When you have Rasmus Hojlund back, when you have Lenny Yoro in, when you bring in Manuel Ugarte, Casemiro is still there. What will Eric Ten Hag do? What kind of decisions is he going to make? His decision making has got to improve because otherwise he has prayed for a big squad with depth, two players per position. But if he's going to be failing to make the right decisions with these players, it won't all make sense at all. And trust you me, this for me is his final test. And he might have signed a 2 year contract, extension, but he might a 1 year contract extension, I should say. He might have 2 years in total, but there is no guarantee that if things don't improve the way we expect them to, he will still finish the 2 years. So he has got to wake up and stop behaving like he has a lot of time. In the Premier League, you will rue every wasted opportunity. You will rue it. You don't pull off your captain, your organizer when you're chasing a game. A bad Bruno is better than any form of Scott McTominay. Anyway, that could have been the last game we see Scott McTominay because as it looks, it seems Napoli are advanced in trying to sign him. They are serious, and I think Man United are also probably in quick talks to try and seal the move. But yeah, Daniel Nitaki Mensah Welbeck again does it. Negotiations for Sancho are expected to continue in the next days, as this is the main reason why he wasn't in the squad. Juventus are on the verge of signing Nico Golanzere, but also they want to bring in Sancho. He's also on their radar. So for Sancho, let's not cry a lot over him because he's moving on. But Eric, I'll not even go into Andre Onana. Again, he warned us that he will be taking more risks, but I feel like it's wrong. He's inviting pressure on his defenders for no reason. There's a lot we need to organize in this team, starting with the boss. Subscribe, like, and share, and I'll catch you later.